My name is Arin Lindauer, and you're listening to A Life Without Struggle. I'm a wife, a mother of 2 wonderful children, a 2-time best-selling author, and a highly driven and successful entrepreneur. In my 17-plus year career as a mindset and health expert, I know what holds women back from a life you only dream about. Whether you're a CEO, a businesswoman, or executive, I started this podcast because I have been where you are, and I know you want and deserve more out of your life. I believe women are limitless. We just get lost along the way. The process to get you there is the topic and purpose of this podcast. When you understand what you want, you can truly step into a life without struggle. Welcome, and I'm so thankful you're here. Welcome back to another episode of Life Without Struggle. My name is Arin Lindauer, and today we're going to talk about the perimenopause reframe. Okay, so this is not a decline. This is where, ladies, it's time for an upgrade. Okay, so if you have been told this is just what happens in our 40s, this episode is for you. So we need to stop normalizing all this frustration. Okay, well, it's just what it is right now, Arin. This is just how I'm aging. This is just what my body is doing. I'm here to tell you all day, every day, if you're feeling puffy, if you're feeling inflamed, if the scale is not moving, if your mood is shifting all over the place, listen, this is not, you don't have to just tolerate this. Yet so many of us actually do. And it's probably one of the most frustrating things I see with women. So I want, by the end of this episode, to help you see this season a little bit differently. But listen, I hands down get it, because this was the time and space in my life where for the first time, all the things that I was doing just stopped working. And if you've been following me long enough or listening into these podcasts long enough, you have heard my story that at 38, I had the most weight on my body I had seen not pregnant, okay? And for the first time in my life, like everything that I was doing just stopped working. And so I want to share with you what is actually going on in your body from more of a hormone standpoint so that you can be empowered, that you can know that, hey, you don't have to just live with this. And so here's what's actually happening. Your estrogen is absolutely fluctuating. So if you wake up one day and your stomach, you look like you're pregnant, you're bloated here's the thing. There's too much estrogen in the body. The estrogen is fluctuating. A whole nother thing that we don't talk about enough is your body clearing estrogen? So, okay, how would we know this? Well, this is important if you're having a bunch of gut issues, if your digestive system is not working properly. And so that's a whole nother topic. I could do a whole podcast on digestion. And so let me know if that's something of interest. I'm happy to put that together. But here's the thing that I know for a lot of women is your gut is leaky, or your gut is not functioning properly. I mean, I hate to say it, but I literally talk about poop all day long with my clients, because if you're not having regular bowel movements, listen, that is not normal. And for some women, they tell me, I'm lucky to have a bowel movement once a week. And I'm here to tell you, girl, that is not normal. You should have a bowel movement every single day. And so why is this important? Well, if our gut is not properly absorbing, you're not clearing estrogen properly. Okay, so this is another big one. If you're getting bloated all the time, you're probably having fluctuations in your estrogen. But then another thing to take it even further is your gut is not clearing the estrogen. So then all that happens is the estrogen just keeps cycling in your body. And that is when we feel bloated and puffy. And I mean, here's the thing is I should probably take a picture every single week of my cycle, because even myself, like that week post my menstrual cycle, I am ripped. Like everything's popping out. You can see everything and it looks great. Then when I get to ovulation, which is where I am right now, it's like my stomach kind of puffs out a little bit more. And I'm like, well, where the heck did this come from? And then certainly, during the couple days leading up to my cycle. And the interesting thing about my cycle used to be like just a couple days, super light, nothing, even to write home about. And now here, in my 40s, it's definitely heavier some months than others. And it definitely lasts almost a solid 5 days. And I know a lot of women can relate to this, but it's just the changes that our body has gone through. So you have your estrogen fluctuations. You also notice your progesterone drops. If you're having a hard time sleeping, this is typically a spot where, the progesterone is dropping in this particular point again of your cycle. Cortisol sensitivity, oh boy, like this one's a big one. So your cortisol sensitivity increases, goes through the roof. And I'm going to talk into why this is actually a bigger problem with regards to how you're working out. So most of us love a good workout. We love just, the sweat angel on the floor. Maybe you liked CrossFit workouts. You love your Orange Theory, your F45. They've even promised to change to more strength-based, which it's still not. I'm just going to tell you, ladies, it is absolutely not. And that hands down is impacting your cortisol. For all my women who are 20, 30 plus pounds overweight and you are running, I am here to tell you that you are being impacted by cortisol, and your cortisol is not helping you lose the weight because of the impact in the running. But here's the deal. I was a crazy runner my whole life until I wasn't. Okay, so it again, just hear me out. When you pull 20, 30 pounds off your body, then get back into running, different story. So for myself personally, my husband and I were just having this conversation is, okay, being in the shape that I am now, I mean, I am literally floating 15, 16% body fat most days. And, I'm in really, really optimal health at this point. And it has taken me the better part of these last 5 years. And I would tell you really this last year, getting things super, super dialed in. I could go do CrossFit type workouts or these Hydrox, whatever challenges, and it's not going to disrupt my hormones like it would have if I was 20 plus pounds overweight. And so just full disclosure, I pulled that amount of weight off of my body. So it just trust me on this, that you can get back into these things that you really love, but you need to take a pause, especially if you're wanting to drop body fat and the scale isn't budging despite all of your steps that you're doing. So here's another thing that happens in this phase of life is we are losing muscle mass. So if a woman is not progressively resistance training, if she is just kind of sort of doing some classes, lifting some hand weights at home, never really like putting good tension on the muscle, you are absolutely losing muscle. If you are not eating enough protein, if you're on a GLP-1 and you are just dropping weight like it's nobody's business, you are losing muscle mass, especially if your protein isn't up and if you are not doing the resistance training. So the other thing that I speak into is your recovery absolutely slows. One of the secret sauces to me seeing results was I had to recover. And I had to really focus on recovery. I use a lot of tools like sauna. I use cold plunging. But even before all of that, I had to fall in love with getting to bed early and getting better sleep. About 4 or 5 years ago, I purchased the Oura Ring, and hands down, it helped me tune into, I was not sleeping well at all, like super night owl, love staying up, a couple hours after the kids went to bed, and I just wanted my time. And I think a lot of women can relate to that, but I just had to fall in love with going to bed early. And as a byproduct, I hands down recover a lot faster. Also the Oura Ring, the thing that I really enjoy about the Oura Ring is just the data. But I also, believe it or not, for most of my type A women, you guys can relate to this, is it tells me to go easy. And why I need something to tell me to go easy, listen, my clients are no different when they're feeling under the weather, they're having a stressful just period of life. And I, as their coach, say, hey girl, just take it easy a couple days. Let's do some more self-care. Let's take care of you. Hey, what have we done to take care of you here lately? It's almost like that permission. And so this is another big one, because this is why we feel this decline is our estrogen is fluctuating, our progesterone drops, our cortisol sensitivity goes through the roof, and we're losing muscle mass if we're not lifting, eating the protein appropriately, and we just don't recover like we used to. So why women interpret this just as aging? And you interpret this as just aging because your old strategies just stop working and your effort hasn't stopped. And if anything, I hear women saying, I feel like I'm doing more, but getting less of a result. And another big one is we're just inflamed. I mean, think of it as a society. And this is the thing that I want to speak into is this has been a decade in the making. You most likely have had kids, gotten married somewhere in these last couple decades. You are in your career. We're making moves in our career. And so listen, there has been no shortage of stress and stress on the body and chronic stress. A couple camps that I see women is their cortisol is through the roof. Okay, great. Got it. But then another camp is I see their cortisol is too low. And then that's more of an adrenal fatigue. And so, okay, what can we do? So I want you to understand you are not falling apart. This is not just aging. This is what it is or whatever saying you want to put on this. But what it is your body's not responding to the outdated inputs that you're doing. So your body isn't responding because it's not the right strategy. All day long, I have the privilege and honor to talk to women. But man, sometimes you guys are hard-headed. You think you have it all figured out. You think, oh, okay, who's this chick on the internet? And here's the deal. Like you didn't go to school for this. You haven't studied hormones like I have. You have not been, in this industry for 18 plus years. And I have seen a lot clinically. I have helped multiple women through this. And the second you think you are a special, snowflake out there, I'm just going to tell you that, yeah, everybody doesn't respond the same way. But I'm here to tell you is I understand what it takes to get you results. And you have to be consistent. Most women, and I will tell you about the only reason women do not see success is they're not consistent enough. They have not done the things long enough to actually piece together the weeks upon months of it's just head down focused. Women ask me all the time, Arin, what's your secret? What's your secret? And I'm like, listen, I just put my head down and told myself, buckle up. I also worked with a functional doctor that was very, very helpful for me. I am so pumped that we are now actually partnered with really cool physicians that we can create a good medical wellness program where if women need access to GLP-1s and hands down in a way more effective approach, we actually have access to this. The other cool thing that I've been exposed to is using peptides and understanding how to get good sourced peptides, but to also be prescribed the right ones that are going to work with your body, especially at this perimenopausal time of our life. This is something that we just added into our program, and it's just something that I'm so excited to have access to be able to help women on a whole nother level. So, okay, what is the real problem around this phase of our life, and what do we need to reframe? So the real problem is strategy. It's not your age. This isn't just normal aging. But the common mistakes that I see is women are just doing all this cardio. You're doing all these random workouts. You tell me, well, Arin, I have access to this YouTube app and they have thousands and thousands of workouts. Here's what's even worse is some of you guys are coming to me saying, hey, I'm using this app and they have push-pull days and they've broken it down into 4, blah, blah, blah. Well, here's the thing. If no one's overseeing this, if no one is giving you feedback, if no one's saying, hey, girl, you've been using the same weights too long, you need to increase, if they're not adjusting the volume, okay, you're not going to see changes in your workout. And I hate to tell you this, but if you're just chat GPTing, because trust me, I have chat GPT'd myself to see what you get when you even prompt it, and it is not enough. And it's also not the accountability and the support that you're going to need to be able to navigate life. That's probably one of the bigger things that I help women realize is, hey, we're all stressed. We all got things. We all got sickness. We all got kids and life and all these things. But why is one woman successful versus another? And it's her ability to handle her emotions through the journey. For so many of us, we are so used to this fight or flight, stressed out of my mind all the time. Arin, I'm just stressed. And listen, I hear you, but if you're stressed out all the time, really? If you're an emotional eater, that's another one that I hear all the time. You have identified with, I'm a stressed person or I'm an emotional eater. And that's actually the bigger problem. When you can let go of the quote unquote identity of I'm an emotional eater, and you realize like, dang, okay, I'm just not handling my emotions well. And okay, what is the purpose of being an emotional eater? Well, Arin, it's comforting, right? Well, okay, if we're labeling that as comforting, okay, what else could we do that's actually comforting? Or what do we want instead? These are things that I help women really navigate, because this is the secret sauce when you are working through these hard identities. When you have called yourself stressed out, Arin, I'm a hot mess. That is something that I absolutely hate. When a woman tells me I'm just a hot mess, quit identifying with this, because you're telling yourself subconsciously that you don't got your shit together, that this is just normal. And this is what you're going to bring into existence if you continue to believe that this is the type of woman you are. See, I had to go through this personally myself to understanding how many programs I was running. I was running a program that I was anxious. I had anxiety. So a doctor had shared with me, the symptoms you're experiencing is anxiety. Here is a medication to take for the rest of your life. Now, reluctantly, I took the medicine because I didn't know what else to do. The cool thing is I had enough insight to say, dang, I don't want to feel like this. I don't like these side effects. This, it's bringing down the anxiety, but man, I'm just kind of numb. And I had to really understand how to work through my central nervous system to understand how to stay neutral. And so I can only speak on these things because I had to work through them myself. So I want women to be empowered that you don't have to keep identifying as this person. You don't have to identify as being overweight. You don't have to identify as being stressed all the time. But we have to ask ourselves, what do we want instead? For most women, you have no clue. No one has ever asked you that. And when I ask you that, it actually makes you really, really uncomfortable. And I understand that. But this is where you will break free. If you're a woman that always identifies with trauma, I have experienced trauma. Well, guess what? A million other people have experienced trauma, and this is not to negate anything that you're feeling, but I want to empower you that it doesn't have to dictate whether or not you're successful in any which area of your life. Okay, I identified heavily post having our son. It was a traumatic birth. Just a lot of things happened in that birth, but something that was so empowering for me was 20 women could experience my exact birth, and only one of them would decide that they had PTSD. And when I started to understand that this is really just a product of the stories we tell ourselves, the experiences we've had, and that we can rewrite. Like if I don't want to identify with this, I can rewrite this. Okay, so it's important that I share this with you because I want you to be empowered that there's real validity to, hey, what do you want? How do you want to feel? And then we align the right actions. Because if you're thinking more cardio, less eating, heavy restrictions, random workouts, if you're ignoring protein, oh, I'll get it one day, whatever on the next day. If you're not sleeping or you're just running stressed out all the time, listen, you're going to break. There's at a point and your body is screaming at you already. Okay. So muscle becomes one of the most critical factors at this point of our life. I constantly preach to women, you are under-muscled, you are under-muscled, you are under-muscled. So the thing that I know is when I decided that hands down, I'm going to get this weight off of my body now, is I had been working out for the better part of 20 years. Okay. And so believe it or not, I didn't grow up just working out all the time. I was a crazy runner girl all my life. I lifted, but not like I do now. But I started really lifting probably in my 30s. So really this has been about 13 of those 20 years that I really, really fell in love with lifting. Now, here's the funny thing. I even had a client say this to me, like she thought I worked out all the time. And just to give you guys a heads up, I lift 3 days a week. That workout is about 45 minutes, if that, okay? I never leave the gym just beat a sweat. Like beat a sweat is about it. Maybe a little drop went down my back, but never ever am I just like, oh my gosh. Now, that's purposeful, okay? Because 3 days a week for me is plenty. It's all I needed to keep my lean muscle. And here's what I'm going to tell you for all of my women who have been lifting majority of your life and you have decent muscle on your body, but you just can't get the fat off. I am going to tell you that using different peptides can be very, very helpful in pulling fat off your body. For my women who maybe haven't been lifting, the peptides can still be very, very helpful in pulling fat off your body, but we need to really get after putting muscle on you. And so just heads up, a GLP-1 is a peptide. There are lots and lots and lots of peptides that we can use for different reasons. And so this is something that I'm highly educated on, and I'm happy to have more conversations because this is actually something that we have access to for our clients. And I'm really excited for this because peptides can really accelerate the process. So your muscle becomes more critical than ever in this particular phase. Cortisol management is equally important. So we have to make sure that your body is recovering. The other thing is we have to look at consistency over your intensity. So I love a good hard workout all day long. And there are a lot of my workouts, I get that great like muscle pump. I feel really good. And then you have weeks like this week where, I'm pretty sure our daughter has the flu and I have a touch of it. But the cool thing is when you are in really, really good health, these viruses don't tend to take you down. Okay. And that's something I'm very, very thankful is like, today did I feel a little achy, had a little bit of a headache, but it wasn't anything that was going to stop me from recording my podcast. I didn't need to stay home from work. And it was just one of those things where, you just you just kind of feel off. So this is where having your health is so, so important. But I'm going to tell you that consistency is going to trump everything. If I ever have a client that just isn't seeing results, hands down, it is her consistency. She's not tracking her food. She's not doing her workouts. She's not hitting her steps. She's maybe sleeping okay. And that is the bigger reason why one woman sees results versus the other. And that's where we have to dig in deeper that, hey, why are we not being consistent with this stuff? Well, Arin, I'm busy. Well, yeah, so is everybody else. Okay. And so this is where we have to dig a little bit deeper into the resistance. Why am I resisting doing these things? Am I creating some story around making this harder than what it is? Am I, is it just new territory? Is it something different that I haven't done? Trust me, when I first started doing some of these things, like it felt foreign. It felt like a job. It felt like one more thing to do. But the important thing that I always preach to women is this becomes your new standard. For myself, I have raised standards 1000%. I also resisted it. There's different things, hands down, I resisted, posting on social media. Well, when you run an online business, you have to use social media. And for me, it was just one of these things. I kept telling myself a story around putting myself out there. And it was actually kind of dumb. Like when I really peeled it back, it was like, what are you afraid of? Are you afraid of someone saying something negative on the internet? Guess what? You can just block them and move on. Like it's not a big deal. But believe it or not, even that was something that held me back. When I see women unwilling to track their food, for example, typically what this is it's very personal. When you have certain eating habits that maybe you're not proud of, okay? Or you don't give me all the information and somehow miraculously we're eating in a calorie deficit, but the scale isn't moving. Listen, I wasn't born yesterday. I know that, hey, we're not tracking all the bites, licks, tastes, and just the random, peanut butter scoop that, you went into the pantry and before you know it, there's 200 calories, right? And so anyways, I hope you guys are laughing, but I want to call this out because I love you and I care about you. And this is what it's going to take is your willingness to do things that feel hard today, but pretty soon it just becomes your new standard. I have women tell me all the time, I just need to put myself first. I don't think I've ever said those words, put myself first. For me, it is holding a standard because when I feel good, I can parent better. When I feel good, I am a better spouse. When I feel better, I am a better coach. Okay. So, one thing that's very, very interesting is like, if you were to come look at my day to day, you would be like, God, Arin, are you stressed? Is this stressful? And I'm like, no. This is my standard. This is what I want to do. Do I want to do all these pieces that I do of my business? No. But the cool thing is as I grow and I evolve, you grow your business, you get team members, and experience helps me because I understand that when I continue to grow, then I get to have the team and people around me. So where you could consider today in time and space stressful, I personally don't because I've been here before and I know what it looks like on the other side of it. So I hope that helps hearing that because this phase of your life, whether you're perimenopause and we can even call it menopause, it doesn't require more effort. It requires the precision of what works and the consistency of it. So we have to upgrade your mindset all day, every day. Instead of saying, this is just what it's like in my 40s, 50s, whatever. This is just perimenopause. Like, quit giving your hormones the power, okay? Your body's not betraying you. So your body is asking you to level up. The problem is it's different. It feels uncomfortable, okay? And so we have to build your muscle intentionally. We have to regulate your stress. We have to protect your sleep. Set boundaries, stop people pleasing, and you have to lead yourself. Want more for yourself, okay? If there's one thing that I could install in women is quit being the martyr, okay? Want more for yourself. Want better for your marriage. Want better for your relationships in your life, your finances. Like, it is okay to level up. It's not okay to just, this is what it is, Arin. I mean, God, if I hear that. Ugh. So this season exposes us to what no longer works. That is powerful. Okay. So take note. If you're doing all these things right now and you are not seeing results, this is your body screaming at you that, hey, this doesn't work anymore. So here's the tactical things that we need to upgrade. You need to strength train 3 days a week, progressive overload. Okay. Most people have no clue what that means. That's what I went to school for. I had class after class after class. People ask me all the time, Arin, teach me how to put together these workouts. And I'm like, okay, that was 4 years of college, 20 years in the field. Okay, here we go. And I'm just like it's just not something I can do. I cannot teach all the things that I've been exposed to. My internship was training athletes, the protocols and things that I put them through on a 30% grade treadmill and understanding the physics of what we were doing with the body. Understanding the load and tension, the force in which, it hits your tendons connected to your muscle. Like there's just a lot that goes into this. The other tactical thing is you have to prioritize protein. Hands down, one of the biggest things I help women with is these protein shakes. Okay, first and foremost, if you're going to have a protein shake, it needs to be 5 ingredients or less. If you've got a list this long, like you need to run, okay? And if you're feeling bloated and gassy after having protein, it's got a lot of shit in it, okay? So I am very, very particular. Personally, I don't tolerate pea protein. I tolerate whey protein very, very well. A lot of people are complete opposite. There's no wrong or right to that. Then for so many women, they will build these like incredible smoothies with their shake. Totally fine, but you need to add up how many calories are in that shake. And here's one thing that you want to think about is if that shake is pushing 400, 500 calories, you got to be careful with that. Okay. A lot of times it's if you're putting peanut butter and all these, chia seeds and all these seeds. People ask me all the time, Arin, what do you put in your shake? I'm like, water. But for me, food is just I'm not emotionally attached to it. Do I like a good meal? Hell yes. I like a good steak dinner. I look forward to Christmas. We'll take our kids to a really nice restaurant, kind of celebrating the end of the year. We just took them to one this past Christmas, and it was phenomenal. We ordered lobster tail. We ordered steak, potatoes, green bean, or what was it, broccolini. I love that kind of meal. That's my kind of meal. So, or birthdays. We do that kind of stuff for birthdays. But the day of food, I am unattached. It is nourishment for my body. Now, at the end of a long day, some days, do I just want something comforting? Heck yes. The other night, I made chicken in the air fryer. All I did was put garlic, paprika, and onion powder on the chicken, a little bit of olive oil spray, and then I put it in the air fryer. And then I did Brussels sprouts, roasted those. Or actually, no, I should have roasted them. I put them in the skillet and they kind of got mushy. That sucked, but they still tasted good. But a good roasted green vegetable goes a long way. And then guess what? I made mashed potatoes, real mashed potatoes with a good old stick of butter, whole milk in there. But I had a half a cup, okay? And it was super, super satisfying. And so this is where I'm just telling you that food can still be comforting. But you want to look at like, okay, what is the nutrient density? What does my body actually need? And we have to get away from this is solving my stressful day. This is going to make me happy, because it's not. The dopamine, the hit that you get is just done and over so quickly. Okay, sorry. I think I just went off on a tangent on that. So The tactical things that we want to really focus on is strength training 3 days a week, prioritizing your protein, reduce all the cardio. The cardio is absolutely what's killing most women. Sleep like it's your job and track your daggum food for 4 weeks minimum. Just 4 weeks of being completely honest with yourself. Track everything, the bites, the licks, the tastes, everything that goes in your mouth. You will be surprised. Arin used to have a little infatuation with popcorn, okay? It's not skinny pop if you eat the whole bag. And then I thought I was doing even better. I would put some olive oil in a skillet or in a little pot. I'd put some real kernels in there and I'd pop it. And then I would put the sea salt over it. But before you know it, that's 300 calories. And I didn't have room for 300 calories based on everything else I ate. But I forgot I was on a tangent about protein, but here's what you want with a protein shake. And one thing that I change a lot of people or tune a lot of women into is A, your shake is too many calories, but B, your protein shake, we need to make it a scoop and a half, or whatever the serving is, you need a serving and a half. Like for myself today, I put a scoop and a half. And so one scoop is going to be 25 grams of protein. I really need to get over 30 grams of protein, and this was for my lunch today. I just needed a quick and easy lunch, and so I did a scoop and a half. So, okay, half of 25 is going to be what, 12 and a half, so let's just call it 12. And then I added that to the 25, so that's going to be 37 grams of protein. Down the hatch in 3 minutes or less, like voila. So those are some little tricks that I personally do to get that in. Okay, so let's pull this all together. Is most women just need the emotional and identity reframe in this phase of our life. So what this actually looks like is we need to trust ourselves. Okay, if you are not feeling well, trust yourself that you don't feel well, and that you can go in and invest in yourself in a coaching program, specifically with someone like me. I have walked the walk. I am in my 40s. I have felt all the feels of hormones. I have had weight on my body where personally I can tell you I never could relate with weight loss because I had never had to lose weight. And for the first time in my life, having weight on my body and I couldn't get it off. Working out all the time, restricting my eating, but then, I would go nutso on the weekend, or, I couldn't drink like I was drinking. That's something I've been very, very transparent about. And so I want you to trust yourself when you don't feel well, that you need help. And this is more than going to your doctor. This is not to slam our doctors, but your doctor did not go to school for weight loss. Your doctor did not go to school for nutrition and understanding what nutrition needs to look like. Here's another big one. Registered dietitians, nutritionists, they do not know weight loss. Okay, registered dietitians are more about the overall balance. They're worried about, creating the menus for patients in the hospital, which I'm just going to tell you, I've been in the hospital multiple times with my mother, who is a severe diabetic. And when I show up and she has pancakes, toast, bacon, a regular Coke, and I just about flipped my mother effing lid because I was like, Mom, what the hell are you eating? And she was like, it's on the diabetic menu. And I'm like, what? And then she goes, don't worry, it's sugar-free syrup. And I was like, I can't even, I got to get out of here. And no wonder your insulin is jacked. Okay. No wonder you take more insulin than, she can't even take any more insulin. That's a whole nother tangent I could go off of. So I want you to understand that your doctors, your registered dietitians, your nutritionists did not go to school for this. Okay. This is what I went to school for. I have an exercise science, or formerly known as kinesiology. We understand the physiology of the body and how to work with your hormones in respect to losing weight in our 40s, 50s, and beyond. I've worked with people as late as their 80s, okay? Also, I want to talk about standards. For most women walking around, and men, they have no standards for themselves. They've gotten to this point of their life, and this is it. This is all they've ever dreamed of. And I want to smash this right now, that we need to go for more in our life. But the first thing you have to do is you have to level up when it comes to taking care of yourself. If you haven't noticed, the world is hurting right now. There's a lot of hate and not enough love. And that love has to come from yourself first, okay? We have to love ourselves, but the problem is we don't. We've let ourselves down on multiple occasions. We look in the mirror, we don't love who we see. And I can only say this because I have been there too. I let my standards go, okay? I chalked it up to being stressed, having kids, and whatever, life, okay? But quickly I was shown that, hey, I don't have to believe like this. I can raise my standard for my life, for my kids, for my family, for my clients. And that's why I'm on such a heavy mission to help more women understand that, hey, there's more to this. Okay. And the second you think you're nobody, I'm going to check you all day long. I had a talk track all day long that I was just a girl from a small town. I'm not very smart. I can't do this. And it was all rubbish. Okay. It was all a bunch of BS. So we got to let go of what we thought we could do in our 20s and 30s and that we can bring it into our 40s and 50s. Okay, I wish I had known the magnitude of things that I knew in my 20s and 30s, but listen, this is called aging, and this is called just, I don't know, I love this 40-year-old space that I'm in because you're finally to a confidence level where you've got knowledge, you've got enough street cred, you've got receipts, but you're still young enough that it's like, man, we got a lot of life to live. We got a lot of cool experiences to do. And I'm looking at these next decades as going to be the best decades yet because of the work that I'm doing here today. So we've got to become stronger in your physical sense, but I'm going to tell you, you need to become stronger mentally, okay? When I tell you the emotional mastery of a weight loss program will ripple into all areas of your life. If you can't master weight loss and the emotional intelligence around weight loss, being uncomfortable, having an edge of hunger, like you can't handle the things that are going to come at you at work, not as good as you could. Okay. And now you may be like, hey girl, whoa, you're getting a little dicey here. And I got you, right? But I'm going to share with you that there's a direct parallel to the discipline of showing up for yourself 3 days a week in the gym and reasonably eating well. That discipline, I will take that discipline all day, every day. I have been around a lot of very, very high performers, people with extremely high net worth, and a commonality with all of them is they have an emotional mastery. They don't get too jazzed. They don't get too low. They work out. They take care of themselves. They just have a different belief system. And I watch people and I watch behaviors. Okay. It's no secret why they are successful versus someone else. And you can have it too. You are no different. Okay. So perimenopause and menopause, it isn't your peak, okay? This is time for you to rise to a new level, to a new standard, okay? So it's not normal to have a decline, okay? We're supposed to get better with age. It's kind of like a wine, right? And this isn't the end. And so I want to give you an invitation when this podcast is hitting home, when you're listening and watching this potentially on YouTube and you're saying, dang, Arin, okay, you're kind of like hitting me below the belt, but I dig it, okay? What I want you to do is reach out because you have to stop blaming your age and we need to start upgrading your strategy. So I want you to reach out on any socials. You can just find me. It's Arin, spelled A-R-I-N. Lindauer is L-I-N-D-A-U-E-R. And listen, it's time to upgrade your life.